Hi, my name is Jason Grant, and this is Living with Integrity, a series of short stories on what it means to live with integrity. Enjoy. Deal with yourself. Many of us want to go out, make deals, make business, make money, make things happen. Deal making starts first with yourself. You got to be able to befriend yourself in a way that you are your best partner first. Most people will spend their entire lives blaming everything on external circumstances, on other people, and assigning other people as the core causes of their problems in life. Meanwhile, if they haven't dealt with themselves, the root cause of all problems, of course, remains themselves. Dealing with yourself requires radical acceptance of reality and how the psychology of human mind works. In some sense, it all starts with self and ends with self. What I mean by that is that any single thing in life that you decide to do, you are deciding from yourself, and every deal that you make, you are effectively doing it for yourself. The reason why I'm writing this book is because I am penciling down the core advice that I would have liked to have given myself from the future. And of course, the best time to do that is right now. So here I am telling myself what I should be doing at all times. And of course, as I tell myself perfectly instructed guidelines, so will you find this useful if you're looking to be living with integrity. Remember, it's always from self to self. The self with a small s is always on a journey towards the self with a capital S. The fully self-realized self with a capital S is in a role of the guide for the small self to stay on the right path and continue in the direction of the capital S self. In this sense, you can become your own guide and your own coach and your own mentor, but it requires radical awakeness and radical self-realization. Dealing with yourself is an ongoing process because you are the person you can never run away from. And as such, you're always having to deal with yourself. The easier you make this process for yourself, the easier you will continue dealing with yourself, and no matter what the circumstances are, you will be at least okay, if not perfectly happy. Dealing with yourself builds on all the other aspects that I've spoken about so far. Waking up, growing up, clearing up, showing up, full self-realization, being honest with yourself, speaking your truth, all these things. with integrity is a mission impossible for someone who hasn't really done those things. But for someone who has done those things, it is the only way forward. This is the reason why I feel ultimately compelled to write this book, Living with Integrity, and once and for all pencil these timeless principles, guidelines, and best practices for myself and for everyone else who cares to live a life of fulfilledness and fullness, wholeness, and bliss. Dealing with yourself can become a totally natural, normal, straightforward, effortless process. You can be so tuned to your inner voice, the only voice, that eventually this process of dealing with yourself is a natural way to just be. There should be no conflict within you. Whenever a conflict arises, it is a red flag to indicate that you should not be doing that thing which you are setting out to do. Instead, you should do whatever you don't have conflict with. This is, of course, opposite to what you would be doing before you are self-realized and before you have really cleared up. The advice at the earlier stages of the journey is to face your fear, move into your pain, deal with your trauma. But ultimately, you still have to deal with yourself. And that's an ongoing, ever-present lifestyle. The radical importance of dealing with yourself and practical value of this guideline is that when you're able to deal with yourself, you're actually able to deal with everyone else. Of course, other people's issues are always going to get in your way as well as they get in their way. But more you're able to deal with yourself and more you're at ease with yourself, the more you're able to the more you will be able to deal with other people, including their brokenness, incompleteness, trauma, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, depression, and so on. At the end of the day, most of the people around the world believe and think that nobody's perfect because all they ever know of is imperfection and brokenness of human beings. Meanwhile, when you move into being human, you start with perfection and you end with perfection. This is the art of living a perfect or ideal life. This is the art of life itself. Why else would you want to be living any kind of life other than an ideal life? Of course, people need suffering for as long as until they realize they no longer need suffering. As my dear and wonderful neighbor from Bosnia said famously. These are two distinct stages in life, the stage of suffering through success and stages of dealing with success every day and accepting it, enjoying it, and increasing it. Most people who are suffering through life are most likely suffering from some form of Jonas complex, which is the fear of success itself. It seems counterintuitive, but it's well enough documented for it to be the case. Most people will say, I don't want to make big money, I don't need big money, I don't want to do X, Y, Z. And then they will make up a reason and excuse. But deep down, it's actually because they can't even really imagine living an ideal life. Because they've been exposed to so many problems, issues, barriers, trauma, brokenness, suffering, fear, anxiety, misery. Most people cannot imagine a life in which they're able to even deal with themselves for 1 second, let alone live the rest of their lives in a way that they've dealt with themselves and they're okay. But those living with integrity know that this is actually a totally normal thing and a normal way to live life, and they accept, integrate that, and move forward with full power, not force, and keep realizing incredible results over and over and over again, making deals and making things happen while improving many other people's lives, even after they die. So, deal with yourself. Hi guys, thank you very much for watching yet another story from Living with Integrity series. Please post in the comments on what caught your attention the most, perhaps thought that you had or a question that you have for me. I'll most likely introduce it in future episodes as a theme. Also, if you like or dislike this, please do so and share this with other friends of yours who will benefit from this. I really want to turn this into a community effort, and I'm committed to posting once or twice a week, so watch out for future episodes. Subscribe to the channel as well and ring the bell so you can get the notification when the next story is up. I've got loads and loads of these, hundreds of them in plan, so please stay tuned and let's get this channel growing. Thank you so much.